I want to talk to you about Mother Teresa and her approach to fundraising. So, a few weeks ago, a friend asked me, hey, you've talked about St. Ignatius, you've talked about Jesus' approach to fundraising. So St. Ignatius' approach to fundraising, Jesus' approach, St. John the almsgiver, I've done a Franciscan friar and a parish priest. And so a friend asked me to research Mother Teresa. So this week I'm just going to share with you, as always, I've got it on my hand, 3 ideas from Mother Teresa. Now I have to tell you that her approach is, it was daunting for me, primarily because she's just so hardcore about, the Sisters of Charity. So it's really, really hard to kind of like dig in, but I think I found three things that actually she challenged me. So instead of finding 3 tips, these are 3 challenges. And so I'm taking on these challenges, and I want you to take on these challenges and see what it does for your fundraising. So the first challenge is this is suffering. So Mother Teresa was really big on taking the sufferings of others. And so what she actually did with her and all her sisters was everyone was designated somebody who was suffering. And so with that, that was their fuel. They knew that somebody who was suffering was thinking about them and praying about them. And so that's kind of like what fueled them. So don't just think about, hey, who can sponsor us, who can help us out through a donation. Think about, okay, who's suffering in the world, and who can we connect with and say, look, we're going to be doing our thing, pray for our thing, and we're going to be praying for you as well with your suffering. So that was the number one thing, the number one challenge from Mother Teresa was this concept of suffering. The second thing, which I thought was really, really fascinating, and I think is going to help a lot of Catholic organizations, is Mother Teresa, from my understanding and from the book that I read, I think it was the Conversations with Mother Teresa. The link will be included in this, in the video, in the audio. So the second thing is she did not rely on pledges, and she did not rely on government support. So a lot of Catholic organizations are relying on government support, and they're getting themselves in a difficult situation because, the government is saying, hey, we're happy to give you this money, but you got to tone down the Catholicism, and it's putting them in a very difficult situation. Now, Mother Teresa, she didn't take that approach. She did not take government funding, stipends. She didn't even take pledges from people. Pretty much her approach was, well, if you want to support me, support me. And she was looking for good, honest Catholics, or just non-Catholics as well, who were happy to give her the money without any kind of like ties to this and that, and kind of like limiting what it is that she could do. So that was challenge number 2. It's very easy to go off to a big donor or a government and say, oh wow, they're going to fund everything, but you might put yourself in a difficult situation. So that was the second challenge. The third challenge was the vow of poverty, and for Mother Teresa, this was the safeguard for everything that she did. And the vow of poverty, in my understanding, if you see it a different way, comment below and let me know. But from my understanding, what poverty is it's not necessarily not having things, and we think, oh, poverty means not having things, because obviously Mother Teresa had a whole bunch of stuff, and she had 5,000 sisters in I think it was like 700 locations. So she was all over the world. So obviously she had things, but the vow of poverty was pretty much, my understanding, is a dependency on Providence. And Providence, when you're depending on Providence to provide, and you're just saying, you know what, I know God is going to provide, you're less dependent on other people, and your focus really is on your mission. And that was the big takeaway, is that you're not dependent on people's money. And this vow of poverty is like, you know what, I'm going to do my work regardless of I have the money or not. And that's what Mother Teresa's approach was, and that's what I think is such a hard challenge for me and possibly for you, is that this vow of poverty, to go off and do things even if we don't have anything, and we just depend on God and we say, look, if this is what God wants me to do, He's going to give me the right resources to go off and do it. And so that's the third challenge, is instead of going out and fundraising in order to get the money to do something, go off and do it and take the vow of poverty and say, you know what, I'm going to do it regardless of what I have, and I'm always going to be dependent on God. So those are the three things, those are the three challenges from Mother Teresa on fundraising. That was her approach. Obviously, tons of people know about Mother Teresa. Tons of people have stories about her and how she's impacted their lives. So I'm happy to hear it from you. I know this is a kind of a strange approach to Mother Teresa, looking at her from a fundraising perspective. But I think it's worthwhile because, well, she did incredible things, and obviously she did, and she even admits, what I'm doing requires a lot of money. But then in the end, she was like, even if I didn't have the money, I'd still do it. And I think that's the great thing, is that it's not about the money. So please leave a comment about this, about Mother Teresa, about her approach with the Sisters of Charity, and I'd really like to get your take on things. So God bless you, and speak to you soon. Bye. If you enjoyed this video on fundraising, make sure to subscribe. Right over there, it's going to be somewhere. Also, if you just enjoyed the scenic views of Catholicism in France, make sure to subscribe as well, and just follow me along on learning how to fundraise and seeing the beauty of Catholicism in the south of France. Cheers. Santé.